go live.
So I should be able to see it in a second here.
And we'll go live.
It's amazing how long 30 seconds is.
Doing. Good afternoon. No, it's good morning. It's 11 a.m. on Thursday. And of course, this music means it's time for my LoSo Lifestyle with Mary Schepp. Mary, you want to recap last week real quick and then to everybody know what's going on for this week?
What did we talk about last week?
I
got to start putting the recaps in my notes.
I thought you would remember. We talked about some stuff. Oh, the invisible.
Oh, yes, invisible diseases and invisible illnesses. That's what it was. It's funny how you can't remember from week to week, even though we talked about it for an hour. Oh, yeah. So invisible illnesses, obviously, I have two of them. Advanced cirrhosis of the liver and transverse myelitis at T7 in my spine. The show is more about the transverse myelitis or the cirrhosis than it is about the transverse myelitis. That just happened to be something that was discussed because it's not that I'm ashamed to discuss or hide anything that I'm going through. It's just that's a fairly new thing to me. So I have a little bit more time to get an expert on it and have a show about that. But we did. It was actually a pretty good show. I got a lot of feedback on that show.
Well, and you actually, you got a lot of right here on Facebook Live. You got a lot of views, and it was. Hey, Hal, how you doing there?
Oh, hey, Dan.
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, that was a good one. It was
a little intense.
It was. I mean, it wasn't. We didn't talk. I mean, we didn't talk as much about food. Can you turn that speaker down a little?
I can actually.
I get a little bit of feedback.
Distracting. Let's do that.
I did get a lot of feedback and a lot of response from people only because, you talk about food and it's always happy food stuff and this, that, and the other. And there is an invisible illness behind this, and there's a disease, and it's not always happy. It's not always, that's just kind of the nature of things. But that being said, it was a lot of good information. I got a lot of feedback. People were pretty happy to hear, that they're not alone. And that seems to be the case with anybody with an invisible illness is you think you're alone and you're not. And even with my spine, that's a fairly rare thing. It's more common in people who have MS. I don't have MS. But that, spinal lesions and brain lesions are usually what happens with MS patients. But liver disease is not super uncommon. I mean, it's not commonplace, but it's not super uncommon. A lot of people have liver disease. My stepmom, as a matter of fact, has had to deal with fatty liver. So it's completely non-alcoholic. She really doesn't drink at all. So it's not just, there's hep C, there's genetic diseases, there's all sorts of reasons for it. And there's a million different invisible diseases, people who have heart conditions, different cancers, or, certain things are beginning stages of some diseases that don't start presenting until they're very advanced. Like my lesion, a lot of times people don't even know that I have a spinal lesion until I'm having a bad day and I'm hobbling around. Wow. But that was a pretty good episode. So
yeah, it was actually. And now that we remember it, so next week, remembering what the heck you were talking about last week,
memory loss and early dementia.
But this week, we're talking about, or you've actually got what you're talking about is what is healthy.
Yeah, it's funny. I was brainstorming with a friend of mine. She has a Facebook group. And it's all about healthy eating. The group is actually called Healthy Eating. There's like 75,000 people in this group. It's crazy.
Wow.
But what is healthy? And it's so hard to tell what is healthy because everything one day, eggs are healthy and the next day they're horribly bad for you and you should never eat another egg because it's going to raise your cholesterol and you're going to die. Mm. Bread, that's another thing, is bread is so unhealthy for you. You should never eat bread. Well, that's not necessarily true. Bread is not unhealthy. Eggs are not unhealthy. But if you live on bread and eggs, you're going to be unhealthy. So
yeah.
It's kind of one of those things.
When they're telling you carbs are the enemy. And then you discover, you know what?
You need
some carbs. Yeah, you actually need a few.
Yeah. And that's what's so funny about it is everything that you get bombarded with every day, how do you traverse that minefield of what's healthy and what's not when every single package screams at you that it's healthy, low calorie, low sugar, low fat, low sodium, no sugar, no fat, no whatever. And then you look at the serving size and it says, a teaspoon of this equals 1 serving. And you're going, well, that's not what I'm going to eat. So now it no longer is no fat or low calorie or 0 calorie because
you're not eating a teaspoon of anything and going, oh, that was so satisfying. Yeah. I've had my teaspoon.
Right. Yeah. Even when you put, most people who cook sugar in their coffee are going to put like maybe a teaspoon, but it's probably going to be 2.
Or
if they're sugar drink, if they're coffee sugar kind of people.
It's more here. Get that scoop. Done.
Or the pour.
Yeah.
the 6 minute 6 minute sugar pour.
Have a little sugar with your coffee. Have a little coffee with that sugar there.
Yeah.
So,
but that's the thing is you do a little bit of research on anything and you find out that Google is your worst enemy and your best friend at the same time. Because if you look something up, if you look up, are eggs healthy? The first 10 things that are going to come back and say, sure, eggs are healthy. And then the next 10 things are going to say eggs are horrible. Eggs are bad for cholesterol. Eggs are bad for this, bad for that. Same with bread. We're actually going to have a friend of mine on here in a couple weeks who makes her own. She actually grinds her own grains to make her bread.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah. I'm super excited to make some bread with her. But the white processed bleached bread is not good for you.
No, I was actually a few years back. I had to take that. Anything bleached had to come right out of my diet for a while. And now it's fine. But that was a huge, and it's amazing when you have to not have any bleached flour, what that means. It's
in everything, like sugar and salt. It is in everything. And it's funny because growing up, we had a farm. It actually part of the King's Farm. It's part still there before they sold most of their land to Walmart and all the developers. And I used to go every weekend with our neighbor and we would get fresh milk, fresh butter, and their dog King would actually jump up and she'd always get angry. It would destroy the side of her car with his claws. And we would go home and we would make bread. Every single weekend I made bread with this lady. And I remember having fresh farm milk, which is why to this day I still like whole milk, but it wasn't the ultra pasteurized stuff that you have now. And it tastes so unbelievably different when you get fresh milk, fresh butter, fresh grains, fresh meat from a butcher or from a farm. I have a turkey sitting in my freezer and I wish I would have written down the name of the farm. I'll have to talk about them next week after I make my turkey pot pies. But it's such an amazing difference when you have these fresh ingredients versus just not. And the health factor is huge.
Really?
When I shortly after I first got diagnosed with liver disease, and anything I could find that was 0 sodium was like a win.
Okay.
Huge win. Like, oh my God, I found something sweet. And it's like, well, limoncello is pretty much just lemon, ice water, and that's it. So you get excited.
I thought that was like an alcohol drink.
It is, but it's also there's like a frozen Italian ice that's just lemon ice or something like that.
Okay. Gotcha.
I was ecstatic because it had 0 sodium in it and was so excited. But I had found this flavored water drink that 0 sodium, low in sugar. So I was like, sweet, I'll try that. But it was dyed like a pinkish color. And it wrecked me for 3 days because of the dye.
Oh.
Because I had fasted when they said to watch my food, trying to figure out what I could and couldn't eat. So I fasted and lived off of plain potatoes and chicken for weeks until I could start building in foods and because I flushed everything out of my system, I became very reactive to just about everything and anything. And something as simple as a flavored water that I'm thinking is healthy because it just says flavoring components or flavoring ingredient or, natural flavors or whatever they lump it together in one thing. Because if it doesn't affect dietary levels like sodium or potassium or vitamins or anything like that, if it doesn't affect those, they don't have to list it. So you can get away with putting artificial flavors, natural flavors, spice blend, because oregano doesn't necessarily alter the nutritional value, fat, whatever, that's going to harm you. But when it's those artificial components like dyes, as they're discovering, are not that great for you.
Yeah.
And they started using like purple potatoes and stuff like that to get those colorings they want, because the artificial dyes aren't good for you. But I was really shocked at how something so simple as a flavored water that had coloring in it screwed me up for that long of a period of time.
Wow.
So I just started sticking to real food. And now every time, even if I eat out at a restaurant or have something that's higher in sodium or sugar or fats than I should, or proteins, should have, if it's real food, like I can actually eat Taco Bell.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
You wouldn't think so.
No, I would have thought that would have been like way up there on the don't you dare touch this because of all the friggin' salt in it.
Well, it's
list.
When we first had it, my husband and I, it was funny because I had joked. I said, I don't care. I said, I'm going to run Taco Bell. I don't care. I want a Mexican pizza. I don't care if it's going to kill me. I remember sending a message to one of my good friends, and one of my low sodium friends, as I call her, Denise, and saying like, I'm going to die today.
As you call her Denise, or as you call her low sodium friend?
I call her a low sodium friend, but her name is Denise.
Okay.
And because I live next to a Denise, and my husband for the longest time would look at me, and so I started calling her LoSo Denise, because then my husband's like, are you talking about our neighbor, or are you talking about your friend? Right. It's like, I'm talking about my friend. So it's funny if she's listening she'll listen eventually if she's not listening live, but she'll get a kick out of that. LoSo Denise. But I remember sending her a message saying, so if you don't hear me chatting for a while, because this is back when I was really active in our groups, because I was home 24/7.
Okay.
And said, if you don't hear from me later, it's probably because I'm dead. She says, that's not funny. I said, well, I'm going to Taco Bell. I don't care.
I may be dead, so I'm going to Taco Bell, as you would if you're going to be dead soon, because
make sure somebody knows, other than my husband. But so I was doing a little research, and I joked with my husband. I said, I'm probably going to have a salt overload just brushing up against the side of the building or smelling it from outside.
I mean, that's what you'd think.
So I look at their menu to see what the counts are, to see what I can eat. And I was like, it's high. I mean, it's fast food. It's going to be high, but it's still, comparatively speaking, I could eat. So I was like, okay, so it's not nearly what I thought it would be. I might actually be okay with this. And I was perfectly fine. And even though it was higher, and I did puff up a little bit, I retained a little bit of water, but nothing, that was unmanageable. So I did a little bit of research, and it turns out well over a decade ago that Taco Bell, as bad of a rep as they get for, fake meat, fake this and whatever, they vowed over a decade ago to reduce the sodium and increase the nutritional value of their food across their menu completely. So if you think about it, outside of the meat products, it's cheese, but it's actually surprisingly real food.
I mean, that's
lettuce, tomatoes,
tortilla, lettuce, tomato, meat, salsa, cheese, tortilla, lettuce. Yeah. That's every single thing on their menu, just in a different shape.
And if you look at if you go to the store and buy their mild flavored taco sauce, it's like 20-25 milligrams of sodium. It's one of the lowest taco sauces you can find.
Really? See, I like their hot.
Mm-hmm.
I like their hot. In fact, I really do like the big beef burrito supremes with extra sour cream.
Right.
I really, really do like those. I don't get them very often because they're kind of, for fast food, it's kind of, to me, that's kind of pricey. To me, everything should cost $1. I should never have to spend more than $1 on anything in my life ever. But, that's just me. But I do like a big beef burrito supreme.
It was funny because, going to healthy stuff, and you sitting here thinking, what can I have? And I was really shocked. I mean, we got a little off topic of healthy stuff, but I was really surprised. So things that affect me less are things that have real food in them. So colored dyes, colored this, colored that, fake foods, fake preservatives, fake whatever, artificial seasonings and flavorings are the things that would destroy me.
Well, yeah, and you've got actually right here, which we haven't really even talked about yet. Your number one item here that is at the top of your list is there is no easy fix.
Right.
That's a lot of interesting info there.
There's, for instance, like the healthy packaging. we were just talking about that a second ago. Low sugar, low fat, low carbs, low sodium, low this, low that, until you look at, and the reason that they can get away with that a lot of times, like a can of soup, when it says heart healthy and it's got that little green heart on it, it's because it's less than 410 milligrams of sodium per serving. But then we've talked about that before, where a serving is half a can, and who the frick eats half a can of soup?
I'm so hungry. I should have half a can.
Hey, honey, you want to split a can of soup? No, I don't want to split a can of soup. I want my own can of soup.
Big spender. A whole can of soup?
Yes. Yes. So, I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe me and my husband are just fatties and we like our own can of soup. But
no, a can is a serving. But yeah.
So you look at that, and it's, if you take a look at the ingredients on the packaging, and it's an eye opener. It's really an eye opener. And it's not so much, everybody always says, if you can't pronounce it, well, a lot of things you can pronounce and they sound like normal things, like meal protein. Well, it is a real food. It is derived from a real food, but it's not necessarily good for you. And so for vitamin C, for instance, you need like 65 to 90-ish milligrams, I think, to get for your daily dose, depending on, adult, female, male, child, whatever. You need that, 65 to 90 milligram range. But if you look at a pill, there's 500 milligrams, 600 milligrams, 1,000 milligrams. Why do you need 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C when your daily recommended intake is 65? Because in pill form, your body's not meant to absorb that.
Okay. All right.
So your body's got to process all of that garbage to extract the amount of vitamin C you need in a day. And you see that with a lot of things where it's really high because you're taking it in a supplement form. And you can get into trouble with some of those things because later on my list here, with vitamin A is one of the few vitamins that you have to worry about getting too much of. And it can be serious, especially if you're on any medications, or if you have, like with me, with my liver or kidney disease or heart disease. Vitamin A and also vitamin K can be overdone very, very quickly. Vitamin K is potassium for those who don't know. But
I heard that about vitamin D. Like too much of that can be a problem.
It can, but usually vitamin D is a problem because you don't have calcium. Those two go in conjunction. Okay. I forget which one is which, but you need one to absorb the other properly. So that's why you can get calcium deposits in your joints and stuff, and you get little clusters of tumors and cancer, things like that.
Okay.
And even benign stuff where it's just, for the longest time, I had all little bumps in my wrist and ganglion cysts and stuff like that, because you can get these buildup. But yeah, said vitamin D, it's not as common, but it usually coincides with a calcium deficiency of some sort. But there's such a need for those shortcuts, which brings us into meal replacements. And Lisa and I from the healthy
like
eating
what
group.
You wrote here.
Yeah. So meal replacements and meal replacement shakes. Why? Just why is what I put. Yeah. Just why? Why do you need a meal replacement? Are you so unbelievably lazy or busy or whatever that you need a shake to replace a meal?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Then you need to restructure your life.
Because I've had the what are they? The Atkins shake things.
Right. Eat a piece of fruit.
Or like the bars. I hate fruit. I'm not eating fruit. I can't stand freaking fruit.
Then it's your own fault. And that's my problem is
But that's why. Because I don't want to go get something. I don't want to go to the effort. Literally, it is lazy. I don't want to go to the effort of figuring out what I can or am able to eat when I have to do the really low carb stuff. Mm-hmm. That means carrying all kinds of, like the cheese things or nuts. And I'm not, nuts are all right. Nuts are okay. I like nuts to a degree. But like the little cheese
Kent
things.
Was here, there'd be a joke somewhere.
I know. I'm trying to
you can tell Alex isn't watching right now because there'd be a couple nut jokes on there.
Yeah. So, or like, beef jerky or something that I don't have to worry about. I can just grab and eat and go. That is literally why and some of those Atkins things, I don't mind. They're not the best tasting thing in the world. They're not horrible. but I will just grab it and go. It's easy. Yeah, it's exactly why.
And it's funny because my argument, I despise bananas.
Oh yeah,
I hate them. I hate bananas. I don't like. I had a bad experience with banana flavoring when I was younger, and it made me sick. And I don't like bananas. I don't like anything about them. However, one of the things that I need is I need to balance my potassium, because the potassium helps me eliminate my my sodium. So keeping that fine balance is what helps my body get rid of what I need to get rid of. And the easiest way for me to do that, because potassium pills are wretched. They're horrible, horrible things. You need to give your driver's license to the pharmacist. Why? Because they can make bombs out of it. Potassium chloride is the last thing they stick in your vein when they put you to the end after, murdering people. That's the last thing they do in the death sentence is potassium chloride is what finally kills you. It's a horrible thing. So you need potassium. So if you need it and they put you on these pills, they are the biggest pill I've ever taken in my life. They are disgusting.
And so it's not just a little thing you can go, it's something you're actually going to have to bite into.
You can't bite into it. No.
It. Can you
can't? No.
No.
Most of them are, it's like a time release, blah, 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 whatever. And it's horrible on your stomach. It's horrible on your insides. It's got horrible side effects. Everything about it was bad. So I'm like, okay, well, I can't live on potato. I mean, I could live on, I'm a potato slut. I've mentioned that a million times. I love potatoes. I could eat potatoes every day, all day. But
I had tots last night.
I hate you a little bit right now.
I don't care. They were awesome. My wife made me tots in the air fryer. Awesome. I am so convinced. And never mind. That's an entire different thing.
Right. But I could. But the problem is, I didn't want body by potato either. So I can't just eat potato. Body by tot. So I discovered that ripe bananas are a little bit high on the glycemic index, and I didn't want that much sugar. But greener bananas that are a little bit less ripe are low on the glycemic index, and they're high in fiber, and they're balanced. So I suck it up. I eat almost every day. I eat 1 or 2 bananas.
I am so impressed with you for that.
I hate it.
Forget everything else.
You should see my crew at work, and I'm standing there in the corner eating a banana like, and I look like a 4-year-old that just got grounded. And Mom said, "You have to eat before you can have your pudding." Like, it's just, I literally.
The bananas are the nastiest. I'm right there with you on that. You will never get an argument from me on that. Bananas are the nastiest thing anyone ever anywhere thought. Let's eat this.
Right.
Why? There's your why. Why?
I know.
And by the way, Steph, salted. Always salted.
Salted nuts.
That for me. Not but for me.
Salted nuts with your tater tots.
Yeah. Well, I did my tater tots were salty tots.
Oh, I bet. I bet. So. But that's the thing is the meal replacement shakes, if you look at the ingredients on those, and I for the longest time, I would do peanut butter. And because I needed the bananas, and the peanut butter kind of masked the flavor. So I would do peanut butter, bananas, yogurt, and honey. And it became like a peanut butter smoothie because the peanut butter and the honey were strong enough to combat the banana. Okay. But the banana.
See, I like peanut butter and honey. I really do.
I love peanut butter banana shake. And it was easy for me. So, but like to take the meal replacement shakes, and I
do you even taste the banana after?
Not really. It's the same with avocado. When people are like, why would you put avocado in a shake? It's a good fat. And the cream, like I make egg salad with avocados now, or hummus with avocados. You don't really taste the avocado because it's such a mild flavor, but it adds the omegas and the healthy fats that you need in such a good way. And I can't eat a whole avocado. It's not that I don't like avocado. I just can't eat a whole avocado.
So I don't like avocado. I'm not a fan of guacamole. I really don't like it.
I love guacamole. So I'm good on guacamole. But
go ahead.
If you look at the ingredients. So if you look at the nutritional specs on a meal replacement shake, they're okay. And I actually pulled up specs on one where, 190 calories, which isn't horrible, 5 grams of fat, which is fine. But you've got 290 milligrams of sodium, 200 grams of potassium, and it's only 14 carbs, and 1 sugar, which does, 22 grams of protein. So it doesn't seem that horrible, but when you look at the actual ingredients, And again, your veggie meal and pea proteins and all of these things that in their natural form, if you eat peas, they're high in protein, they're high in fiber, they're good for you. But
that's one of the few vegetables I actually like.
But then there's 3 different kinds of gum in here. So different, like xanthan gum is a popular one. The different types of gum are usually thickening agents. They change the viscosity of things, which is how you get a creamy shake. But people, especially people like with celiac sprue, because a lot of times to supplement gluten, they use xanthan gum to get a texture that they need. And a lot of people with celiac sprue are also sensitive to the xanthan gums and the guar gums for that same reason, because, you know, again, you need real food. And even though those are components derived from real things, when they're chemically broken down or scientifically broken down, or, you know, you process them out to get one thing or the other and then combine it with something else, it's no longer a perfectly balanced item. The reason why I eat a banana instead of taking a pill is because it is a perfect balance over eons of sugars and fibers and carbs and glucose and fructose and all of these things. It's balanced, and your body is made to keep what it needs and eliminate what it doesn't. So it processes it better. It's easier on your system. And it's so much better for you than, and I get it. You know, there's, like you said, if you're significantly overweight or you have a heart condition or a liver condition, and a meal replacement shake is the only logical way that you're going to combat what you're going through, then by all means. It's the lesser of the evils. So if it's your path to get healthier, then fine. Because and it's not that it's a bad thing or a weaker thing or whatever, that to say that you choose to not do that. Everybody's brain works differently and their perspective is different. And it's not an easy thing. You know, if you're an addict and I'm not, and I just say, suck it up and quit drinking or quit doing drugs, it's not that easy for you to just do that. And it's the same with food. It's not, you know, it may be easier for me just because of my personality type, but that doesn't mean that it's easy for you to eat. Like, you just can't force yourself to eat a banana. Not everybody can do that.
It would literally make me retch.
Right, exactly. And that's
literally, I cannot believe you're able to do that.
It's not, believe me, my husband yells at me because we probably let more bananas go to waste than not, because there's just times where I'm like, I'm just not going to do it. And then I feel like crap. But if you can, I mean, what else is there? The vitamin blends. So you don't even, to get the amount of vitamins that are in there, they have vitamin blends. Most of them have 250 or 300 milligrams of sodium. It's literally just salt. It's not the products that are adding salt. They literally just add salt because all the crap that they put in there for your meal replacement, they got to make it taste good. And salt binds those things together to give you flavor. And then, of course, there's like 4 different sweeteners, because they can't say that they add sugar. And the only way to keep the sugar down is to add sweeteners like stevia and stuff, which those things are still so new. They don't necessarily know how they affect you anyways.
Wow.
So it's, I mean, if you want to do a shake, like I said, make one. Instead of doing a meal replacement shake, you know, make one where if it all you're doing is adding a protein powder to get protein, you know, you can do something like peanut butter that is high in protein and it's still a real thing. I'd rather see you eat the peanuts themselves than peanut butter, but that's the same with like juices. And we're going to talk about that here in a couple seconds. Juices and fruit smoothies and all that. When you break it down from its original form, it's now less healthy. It's not unhealthy. It's just less healthy.
Yeah.
So if you're desperate for that meal replacement, you know, you don't just look at the nutritional specs and say, okay, it meets my calorie limit, my sugar limit, my protein, whatever it is you're watching. Look at the actual ingredients and go, holy crap. You know, there's 16 different kinds of sweetener in here. Maybe I can find something that's made with more natural ingredients, or have this for now and do a little bit of research and find out what kind of shake can I make on my own.
And you do have to be careful with that, because I've got to go through stupid dietary things off and on over the years. And one was artificial sweeteners. Those had to come completely out for, I think it was like 2 years. It was a royal pain. But like high fructose and you know, all that kind of stuff, that aspartame, I would have had an extremely
cockroaches won't even eat that
stuff. I know. So, but it's well, and there's a reason why. But and before we move on, actually, because you got a lot of stuff here about juices and fruit smoothies, let's share a little bit with everybody about the people that make what we do here at 216 The Net possible. And you know, when you work with them, and then they work with us, and then we work with you because you listen and you have a good time to shows like my LoSo Lifestyle here with Mary Schepp. You know, wonderful folks like McHenry Villa, a senior living community, 815-344-0246, McHenryVilla.com. McHenry Villa is committed to the core values of hospitality, stewardship, integrity, respect, and humor. At McHenry Villa, their goal is to make you feel comfortable at home. McHenry Villa, a senior living community, 815-344-0246. And while we're talking about McHenry Villa, if you're right here in McHenry, Illinois, where they are located, on December 19th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., McHenry Villa is hosting a Jingle Mingle. They'll have refreshments, appetizers, photos with Santa, and music by John Ludi. December 19th, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., 3516 West Waukegan Road in McHenry, Illinois, 60050. And if you'd like to give them a call and make a little RSVP, let them know you'll be there, 815-344-0246. And of course, let's keep the show rolling here now, Mary. We've got I know you've actually got quite a lot to cover here, and now we've only got half of the show left. So, I can't believe where the first half went. That was fast.
I know. Well, it's funny because there's so much to talk about, and there's so many different things, and it's funny all the questions that I get afterwards. And you know, when you've been doing it for a long time, it's really hard to not go, really? How do you not freaking know that? But at the same time, you know, it's a matter, I've said that before, but it's a matter of perspective. If you don't know, you don't know. And if you've never been taught, then how, you know, your perspective is completely different. But juice and juice fruit smoothies and stuff like that, I enjoy a good fruit smoothie, but I treat it like cake. I don't lie to myself at all. It is a treat. If I go to Jamba Juice or something and get me a fruit smoothie, or if I make myself a fruit smoothie in the summer, it's because it's a treat. And I am not by any means fooling myself into thinking that it is healthy. But the sad thing is too many people do think that, and for years, like orange juice is healthy and apple juice is healthy. And an 8-ounce glass of orange juice has on average 23, 25 milligrams of sugar. So as a woman, that's almost my entire day's intake of sugar in a glass of orange juice first thing in the morning. So, and again, it's unbalanced. So when you're the good parts of the orange juice, it's pasteurized, so it doesn't spoil and go bad, which removes a lot of the flavors. So they have to add flavoring and add concentrates to get the flavor back.
Okay.
But as a liquid, it's absorbed differently into your body. So the second it hits your stomach, it's not much different than water. Everything's just absorbed, and you get that boost of sugar, and then you get a sugar crash. But now you've consumed all your sugar for the day. So now where are you going to get the rest of your energy for the rest of the day? You're going to eat more sugar.
It doesn't stick with you very long.
No, you're going to eat more sugar versus if you ate an orange. Or literally just blended up your own orange, pulp and all. I know everybody's used to not having pulp, but just eat a piece of fruit and eat an orange, eat a banana, eat a whatever. Because it's just not the same when you break things up. It unbalances them, and the way your body absorbs them is completely different. So what does Alex say? You like to squeeze your coconuts, or do coconuts have too much salt in them? Coconuts, I'm not a fan of coconut to begin with. So I really don't eat coconut at all. I don't like coconut. No.
Oh, I like coconut. It's good. Sweet.
It was I'm glad my mom doesn't listen to this. She got sick on pina coladas or something. And I had to help. I don't remember what it is. I just remember it smelled like coconut, and I had to help clean it up. And ever since then, I was very young. Okay. And ever since then, I haven't been able to go near a coconut anything. That and my sister used to always have the coconut oil on when she would suntan in the side yard.
That kind of,
and it wafted into my bedroom all the time. So it was nothing but coconut oil all the time.
I don't like suntan and lotion that smells like that. It's like coconuts are things you eat. So
My fruit smoothies are healthy: fruit, ice cream, and rum.
Oh, there you go.
That is the only one that's healthy, Stephanie. That's the only one. But with juice and fruit smoothies, they inherently are typically sugar bombs. So now when I tend to drink my juice, I have soda water, and then I'll put a shot of juice in it for flavoring, or a shot of orange juice and soda water. Tastes like a mimosa. It's actually pretty nice. If you like mimosas, which is champagne and orange juice.
I've never had a mimosa.
Yeah, I was a big fan of mimosas. But, if you look at the, like a 16-ounce passion smoothie I think it's from Jamba Juice, is 55 milligrams of sugar. And they're not necessarily high in sodium, so it's not really a LoSo thing. But when you have to be low sodium, it's the LifeStyle. It's not just the salt that you're watching. You need to balance everything: your proteins, your carbs, your sugars, your fats, good fats, bad fats. You need a balanced diet overall to be healthy. And that's how, by changing my lifestyle, it wasn't just watching salt. And I had a conversation with someone. I tend not to go into the cirrhosis group too often, just because, to be honest, it's very depressing, because the majority of them are dying. They're on transplant lists. They're in very bad situations. And when I start to talk to people and they go, so you were diagnosed in 2015 and you're not on any meds, you're not on this, you're not on that, your liver disease must have been caught earlier, you're not that bad. And that's not the case. I was advanced decompensated cirrhosis of the liver with, estimated 3 to 5% functioning liver left. And I had a paracentesis where they drained 7 liters of fluid.
Oh, man.
And usually at that point, they say, okay, your quality of life and your life expectancy over the first year is significantly low. And that's partially due to historic, what they've seen, and then what the outcomes are, and how, in the statistics of whether or not people are going to actually make a lifestyle change. So I was talking to someone, and they said, they're in that group and they're on their 2,000 milligram sodium restriction, which is the common. They hand you a piece of paper and say, 2,000 milligrams or less is what's recommended. And here's a chicken recipe.
Eat this for the rest of your life.
Right. So,
because you got 5 minutes.
And I said, well, if you're still retaining water, and you still have the ascites, and you still have this, and you still have that, and you're still on all these medications, you might want to look at altering your diet, because I found that if I'm between 1,400 and 1,500 milligrams, that's where I'm the best. So you can't just stick to what a piece of paper says and say that's where I'm supposed to be, because that was the statistical average. You need to go through and say, okay, where is my perfect?
Wow.
But it's everything. It's not just one thing. So watching your sugar is a huge part of it, because I can guarantee you are probably consuming way too much in a day.
Now, what about pineapple? Alex asks, what about pineapple? Do you recommend men or women drink pineapple?
It's still sugar. You can eat pineapple. It's healthy for you. It's like any other fruit. It still counts as a fruit serving, but it's better as a whole fruit than it is as a fruit juice. And if you're gonna drink fruit juice, look at the back of the bottle, because it's almost equivalent to a can of soda.
Wow.
Really? You think you're getting something that's healthy, and it's literally a sugar bomb. And it might not, like they boast on the bottle, no added sugar, because they're not adding actual sugar. It's from fruit. But if you strip all of the fiber from a fruit and you pasteurize it, stripping half the vegetables, it no longer is healthy. It's just a sugar drink.
Man.
So it takes me forever to go through a bottle of orange juice or a bottle of juice, because once you actually cut it with water, you start getting, it's very quick for you to get used to cutting your juice with water. The first couple times you're like, oh, this is watered down. Literally after a couple days, I couldn't notice the difference. And the first time I had an actual glass of juice, I think at my sister's house, and didn't think about it. I said, yeah, I'll take a glass of whatever apple juice you have. Didn't think to tell her to cut it with water. Took a sip of it, and I almost puked all over the counter. I was like, oh my God, it's just sugar water.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, Mitch DeGuay, Mitch, I'm probably butchering your last name. Sorry. He provided a little info here. It says raw coconut meat is 16 milligrams per 1 cup. Coconut milk, 28 milligrams per cup.
Yeah.
And under eat this much, your, what is that, personal diet assistant? So then Alex says, do you need to stay out of the sun in case you get dehydrated more, with water being a potential issue? I have to stay out of the sun. Well, because Alex, we know, and I understand that even though
friends.
I'm sitting here with black hair, I'm actually a ginger.
Ginger buddies.
Yeah.
So
ginger
water is
disguise.
a huge thing for me. I am restricted, so I need to consume. I'm best if I consume less than 35 ounces of water. I should say 35 ounces of liquid a day. So if I eat a lot of fruit in a day, that's the liquid. But also depending on if I am more active or if it's hot, and when you do perspire and you're getting rid of that water. So it is a very fine balance, especially if you're watching those things of how much water and liquid you consume. So in the summertime, I had a tendency to eat more pineapple or watermelon, just actually eat the fruit because I get the water and I get the nutrients and the sugar and the fiber and everything to give me a boost. And before I forget, speaking of that, the reason I tend to eat a banana in the morning, two things. One, I try and always first thing in the morning, slam an 8-ounce glass of water. Not ice cold water, not lukewarm water, just not super cold or super hot. I didn't even think about it. I just slam a glass of water because it's kind of like getting out and starting your car in the dead of winter when it's 10 below and you just start it and go. It creates horrible wear because everything's cold and now that friction causes problems. So by drinking a glass of water, the first thing that my system does every morning is that's what wakes it up.
Okay.
So it's literally like on a hot day and my insides get a nice drink of water versus breakfast or food or something that they have to process or digest, or a sugary coffee drink where it affects your system differently if you wake it up with just literally giving your insides a drink of water. Not lemon water, not sugar water, not anything, just plain old freaking water. Because everybody's got these, if you drink lemon water, it does this and it does that and it changes the acidity level. Why does everybody need a gimmick? Can't you just drink a freaking bloody glass of water?
Just drink some freaking water.
And then shortly after that, after I wake up and I go through my morning routine, within the first hour of waking up, I try to eat a banana or a piece of fruit. And then the first thing that my body gets is a balanced sugar fiber, it's a balanced thing.
So, okay. And then Katrina Brosart?
That's my sister, actually.
Oh, hey, well, there you go. Your sister says it also concentrates the amount of sugar per serving once they remove the fiber and other things. So there you go. Your sister, well, obviously she would know she's your sister. So
she's actually pretty smart when it comes to a lot of the food stuff.
So, and then Alex asks, how big is the banana? Does the banana size matter? They have big ones and then the smaller ones. I think the smaller ones are called what? Plantains or something like that?
The big ones are plantains. The small ones are, I forget what they call them, but banana's banana, and plantains have more fiber. Yeah, they're still, actually, I don't mind banana bread. And I don't mind plantains, and I forget what they call them when they smash them and fry them up. But then it's smashed and fried bananas. Just different.
Is what they call them.
But they're not as banana-y. It's more starchy. The plantains are. They're not. They don't have that harsh banana flavor. But juices and fruit smoothies tend to be sugar bombs. So I treat them as if they are a treat. And depending on the fruit smoothie, they might be super high in sodium because of the sherbets and the yogurts and the ice creams that they put in them to make them taste fabulous because they are high in sugar and high in salt. The other big, huge thing is fats, good fats, bad fats. And they actually have banned trans fats in the United States.
Well, that's not very inclusive, is it?
So, trans fats are bad fats. Trans fats are the byproduct of creating other things. So it's not, anytime anything's a byproduct, is typically not a good thing to be consuming.
Okay. Gotcha.
So as they started discovering that trans fats are bad, they got banned. That being said, the evidence is limited on natural trans fats. But the FDA banned trans fats effective June 18th, 2018, but products manufactured before this date can still be distributed until 2020 or some cases 2021. So just because they've banned them and agreed that trans fats are bad doesn't mean that they're still not in
some stuff that's out there
in our diets, because not everything, some things, especially canned goods, their shelf life is significant. So they can still be around for quite some time. So again, like always, you got to watch and read your labels.
Yeah.
The in-between are saturated fats. Saturated fats are common in our American diet. They're solid at room temperature.
Okay.
So that raises the question about coconut oil, because it's solid at room temperatures. Coconut oil is a saturated fat. So if saturated fats are the in-between where they're kind of good, kind of bad, kind of both.
Yeah.
Then what's with the coconut? As I think I put it in here, the elephant in the fat element in the elephant in the room is coconut oil, because it's all the rage right now.
It makes a heck of a cup of coffee.
So is it good? Is it bad? People are feeding it to their dogs because, my theory has always been, when something is this new and there's no clinical studies, there's no research, there's nothing, there's no scientific basis behind it other than the fact that they know it's a saturated fat.
Wow. Coconut oil is about 90% saturated fat. You've got noted here. Yep. That's wow. Holy cow.
It's higher than butter, which is 64% saturated fat, beef, which is 40% saturated fat, and even lard is 40% saturated fat.
Wow.
So fats are broken down based on, or they're categorized based on their carbon makeup. And there's a lot of sciencey crap that goes behind that. I'm not a scientist, so I'm not going to talk about sciencey crap. But so the carbon makeup in coconut oils, it tends to nudge your good cholesterol in the right direction. And they think that it's because of the carbon makeup. The type of carbon that coconut oil has, I forget what it is. It's like a 12 carbon or something like that, kind of like omegas, where you get omega-3s, omega-6s.
Okay.
But the carbon structure of coconut oil, they've seen it's in studies that it does actually increase your good cholesterol. But ultimately, it's still a saturated fat. The research has not been done. So people who are drinking it by the gallon and putting it on everything, you're still consuming more saturated fat than you should have.
Ma'am.
And everything is in, and I hate using the word moderation, because when you tell yourself you can have things in moderation, you give yourself justifiable license to do whatever the hell you want.
Well, sure.
But
because that's the saying, isn't it? Everything is good in moderation.
And moderation is your perspective. So what's moderation to you? A sleeve of Oreos or 2 Oreos? Because my moderation is a sleeve of Oreos.
Yeah, and coffee, it's 1 pot a day instead of 2.
I can marry this. Alex and his jokes. I got my sister and my dad on here, and Alex is talking about, my mind being in the gutter. So
yeah, this is a family show, yeah, literally today.
Literally. It's funny because neither one of my family, they're probably surprised I haven't dropped more F-bombs, because they know perfectly well that I am not the Virgin Mary.
You use very, very pleasant alliteration here on the show.
Listeners.
You've always been so
the good fats are from vegetables, nuts, seeds, and fish. They have fewer hydrogen atoms that to bond their carbon chains. Again, that carbon makeup. So your good fats, and they're liquid at room temperature, which is why you see, olive oils and stuff. I like grapeseed oil. I just like the flavor of it. So I use grapeseed oil in my cooking. If it's not outrageously expensive, I will occasionally get avocado oil, which I'm pretty I think it's made from the seeds, but I don't know. I tend to stick to those. And even still, it's the same with the coconut oil. Just because olive oil is healthier for you than, lard or Crisco or trans fats doesn't necessarily mean you should be drinking it by the gallon. It's still a fat, and you need to balance it with everything else that you eat, your carbs, your, sugars, your proteins, because it's all going to become a problem if you're consuming one or the other too much.
Oh, Alex says sleeve. They make a package. You eat the package. Agreed. On Oreos, yeah. I'm guessing you're talking about there.
Challenge accepted. So, that's funny. Hashtag challenge.
Yeah. Oh, and Hal says, I was a sailor.
Yeah, my dad was a...
yeah, okay. All right. Overdoing anything is never good, says your sister here. That is the problem with fad diets or fad natural cures.
It really is. And when it's back to the, everybody wants a quick fix, and they hear that, oh, well, coconut oil is better than this oil. So when my friend said that it cured her, whatever. Well, it's like with gluten-free. So a lot of people went gluten-free and it became a fad. The problem with that is it gave people who actually have celiac sprue a hard time, because when restaurants and stuff would say, oh yeah, sure, we're gluten-free, not realizing that somebody who actually has the disease is subject to cross-contamination, and they weren't treating it as serious as it actually is. So when you jump on those bandwagons and they're like, oh, well, I lost a lot of weight and I'm healthier and this, that, and the other, and my blood pressure. You want to know why all those things went down when you went gluten-free? Because the only way to go gluten-free 90% of the time is just to eat real food.
Yeah.
You cut down on your carbs because you're eating less bread. Why? Because gluten-free bread tastes like crap.
Yeah.
I mean, it's getting better, but it tastes like crap. It does not taste like your fluffy, soft, good bread. And it always
gluten has all the flavor.
Right. And I have very good friends of mine who are all gluten-free because of medically necessary reasonings. And it's so much of it comes from the heavily processed flours and glutens that we use in the American diet. Because a friend of mine had discovered when she ordered, they actually used to own a pizza place, and they ordered a very expensive, high-end Italian flour that wasn't processed. It's still gluten, but everybody was less reactive to it because it was processed completely different. It wasn't the crap that we have that is bleached and processed and refined until it's resemblant of, sawdust. So it does make a huge difference in, if you're going to eat a pizza and you eat something made with real ingredients versus eating something that's made with processed ingredients.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Right.
I'm not a huge, I don't actually like pizza. I don't really like
the crap out of me sometimes. You know that?
But when my wife makes it, and there are some that she'll buy off the store on the shelf, and I'll eat it. I'm not, it's not like I go, oh yeah, pizza,
right.
Whoop de freaking do. I'm not, but I grew up in Kansas City. There's no real pizza in Kansas City, so I never developed a taste for it. But when she actually makes it from scratch, she makes a pepperoni and bacon pizza, pepperoni, bacon, and the green pepper and beef. Oh, I'm happy just thinking about it right now.
Right.
It really is remarkably good.
And it's funny because like my pizza sauce, and it always cracked me up because so many people rant and rave about how good my pizza sauce was. And if you go into like the homemade Italian groups and the homemade Italian recipe groups and stuff like that, and so many of them share their recipes, and it's like an Italian pizza sauce it comes down to the tomatoes that you use. Like if you use good quality San Marzano tomatoes, it's pretty much garlic, tomatoes, oregano, and basil. And some add salt, but it's about as basic as you can possibly get. And that's it. And it turns out fantastic. And it comes down to the quality of the ingredients that you use. Like I have a cinnamon roll recipe. I wanted to mimic Cinnabons. No, they are not healthy. It is a dessert. It is butter and carbs and sugar.
Okay, let's you don't go to Cinnabon and eat a Cinnabon because you're being health conscious. That's just that does not happen.
Well, the funny thing is when I perfected that recipe and I posted it in my low sodium group, and I had 4 or 5 people chastise me about how, well, that's, it may be low sodium, but that is not healthy. I made no qualms about this being healthy. But when you've been living on the most bland diet, when you first start, until you learn how to cook and you learn how to get flavors from other things, and you're living on this bland diet, and somebody hands you a cinnamon roll that tastes like a Cinnabon, you are in heaven for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Is it too much sugar? Should it be your daily diet? Absolutely not.
But again,
holy crap,
that's
are you
not
happy?
Why you're eating it.
Right. So making it with real ingredients, and I discovered it was the quality of the cinnamon. So when I spent $1 bazillion on very good Madagascar cinnamon, and that made my cinnamon roll, was holy crap, that's how you do it. And everybody who's tried to mimic that recipe, when they'd use crappy dollar cinnamon, they're like, well, it doesn't quite taste right. Well,
no, because you use dollar cinnamon.
Right. And that's the same with, pasta sauces and spaghetti sauces. I posted very recently, I made just a quick meat sauce with pappardelle, which is pappardelle is just a fat noodle. If you think of like an Alfredo noodle, but bigger.
Okay.
It's just like spaghetti, long stringy noodles, but they're like 1 inch wide flat noodles.
Okay.
But I made sauce. I made the whole meal in less than 30 minutes. Because it's just good canned tomato sauce with real basil and garlic and olive oil and some balsamic vinegar. There's not much to it. So you can whip those things up fairly quickly if you're using real ingredients and if you're using good fats and balance all of your diet. So back to the conversation I had with this girl in the cirrhosis group where, she's still having such a hard time keeping things in balance. And when I had suggested, I said, well, did you take, do you track your food? She says, yeah, I track my food. I said, did you take what you've tracked to your doctor or your dietitian and review it with them and see if they have any ideas about what you can change? And of course, her first response was, well, I can't get in to see them for 3 weeks. I feel that pain. I feel your pain with all of my specialists because, they're specialists and they're sought after. So, when I found out I had a lesion on my spine, it was a 3-week wait. So they admitted me into the ER again to stay overnight just so I could see a specialist on rounds the next morning because I couldn't actually get in to see a doctor.
Man,
for weeks. I'm partially paralyzed and they wanted me to wait weeks. So that's a whole other topic on doctors. Love them to hate them, right? But talking to her about altering her diet and said, if you're on 2,000 milligrams a day of sodium, what about your protein? Well, the doctor told me to watch proteins. I said, well, I understand why, because proteins are a harder molecule to digest, and too much protein, and it forces, if you have liver or kidney issues, it forces a buildup in your blood. So essentially all that shit just floats around in your blood until your liver and your kidneys can process it. So if you're not processing things as fast, that can become a problem. So I understand why they're telling you to watch proteins, but people automatically think of protein as a beef. Well, they told me to watch I can't eat red meat. Okay. I don't like fish. I mean, it's not that I don't like fish. I'm picky about fish because I've had fresh caught real fish and now I won't eat anything else. So when I first got sick, I would eat more fish just because it was an easier way for me to get that. And even chicken now is not as lean as it used to be. You can see the white fat strips. So when I can get it from the butcher, it's way better.
How they raise them now.
Right.
But, so, and we're coming up on just about 2.5, 3 minutes here. So is there anything else you want to squeeze in just the last couple of minutes?
Well, it's funny because talking about proteins and liver disease and stuff like this the other day with this girl and trying to help her realize that she can alter things just in a careful way. And she'd asked me, where do you get your information? And like I've said before, Google is your enemy and your friend at the same time. So when you look at something and you say, oh, it says that, eggs are bad, look at the website and see where it's coming from. If it's, healthylifestylemagazine.com, it's probably not the best source. So if you do a search, PubMed is where all medical publications and certificate, like if you're an actual surgeon and you did a clinical study and you post it on PubMed. It's harder to read because it is actual medical stuff. The other one is Harvard EDU.
Okay.
Obviously Harvard, everybody knows Harvard, the school. But again, the same with their publications and their research. It's not 100%, but it's still a very good source to get that information. So I'll just search, Harvard EDU protein or Harvard EDU sugar and cancer and see what it says. So it's fantastic. It's a great resource. But you pay attention to where your knowledge is coming from and where those things. So just because you see 10 posts that say that coconut oil is good for you, coconut oil is good for you, coconut oil is good for you, Look at the sources.
Yeah, look at the source. Doesn't
Most of them are
mean,
blogs.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's good. Someone said it's good, so I think it's good.
And I'm not an expert. So there's a million people out there like me that we all claim that we know all these things. And I will firsthand tell you, we were talking before the show about sugar. And my perspective on sugar and cancer was changed based on some medical publications that I read in PubMed.
Okay. So, well, we only have a few seconds. How can people find you outside the show?
Find me on my LoSo Lifestyle on my Facebook page, my LoSo Lifestyle, my YouTube page. And then, of course, if you want, you can download the 21/6 The Net app, and you can listen to 21/6 The Net anytime you want. Outside of myself, there is other fantastic shows to listen to. Lately, my favorite has become Your Music in the Morning. The Cringeworthy in the Morning is fantastic. It's annoying and awesome at the same time. But yes, you can, my LoSo Lifestyle on my Facebook, my YouTube, and then, of course, here at the radio station.
Awesome. All right. Well, everybody, we're clear from 21/6 The Net. Thanks for hanging out with us for a little while on Facebook here with my LoSo Lifestyle and Mary Schepp. We'll catch y'all next week. Will we catch you next week? Are you on Christmas vacation?
I didn't think I was going to be here next week, but I am. I have another thing that we're doing the Boys and Girls Club next week, but it's not till the afternoon. So I will be here. I'll just have to leave straight from here to go to the Boys and Girls Club.
Awesome. Well, then we'll be back next Thursday at 11 o'clock. My LoSo Lifestyle. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Use a tube.